What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Paul Brown here, and I am joined today by Brent Primus, who is on the cusp of one of the biggest fights of your career. Brent, you fight for $1 million next week. The PFL $1 million tournament finale is upon us, and I mean, I've heard you speaking many times about how, you had a difficult upbringing. Would young teenage Brent of maybe 25 years ago would his mind be blown by the fact that you're about to fight Gadzhi Rabadanov next week for $1 million?
Yes. Just getting in trouble, doing stupid things. I never thought that I'd be a fighter fighting for $1 million. That's for sure. Especially going to Saudi Arabia, it would have. If you would have never would have believed it.
It's massive, yeah, and I mean it's a culmination of what has been a pretty hectic year. I was looking at it through your record, and of course, I've seen you fight quite a lot over the last few years. You've become known as a really interesting submission guy to watch. And I remember watching you fight the likes of Bungard and Tim Wilde and those guys, and of course Chandler. But between 2019 and 2023, you kind of averaged one or two fights per year. But now, I mean, this tournament format, you have been fighting nonstop. This will be your fourth fight in roughly 7 months. So that's been a hell of a change. I know you're always a guy who prides himself on being like one of the hardest workers in the sport, and you love the grind, as the old cliche goes. You embrace the grind. How have you found this whole experience of just being like pedal to the metal nonstop all throughout this year?
It's great. Like kind of said, Bellator. I didn't get as many fights as I was wanting, and I love this PFL platform. How we are guaranteed two fights right off the bat, and then if you keep winning, you keep fighting. And like you said, it's my fourth fight, and it's amazing. I love PFL. I love the platform. I love all the guys, and um, I love the money. It's great, especially that $1 million, dangling in front of our heads at the end of this tournament. So it's great, man. I'm blessed. I'm really grateful, and here we go, man. Just a little over a week, and I'm fighting for $1 million in the PFL World Title.
Yeah, it's a huge, huge opportunity, which I think most of the fighters in the sport, in all the promotions or across all the promotions, would jump at the opportunity to be in your shoes right now. I was speaking there about that, that four fights in such a short space of time. Obviously, that's a hell of a workload, but someone like yourself who kind of likes a bit of hard work, I mean, I'm sure that there's pros and cons. You are 39 years old, if I'm not mistaken. You turned 39 earlier this year. What have you had to manage differently to withstand that new schedule, and also taking into account that you ain't 25 anymore? Have you had to change a whole lot about how you prepare for fights or how you recover?
Not too much, obviously, we're fighting, like you said, four times in 7, 8 months or whatever. So I've had to train through a couple little small injuries here and there, but I love staying busy. I love staying in the gym. I love the challenge, and I feel great. I feel good. I definitely had to watch my diet, the last like 7 months, and had to miss out on some good meals and family events and stuff like that. But I love it, man. I love staying busy, and I love the paychecks and taking care of my family. So yeah, it's great, and it's going to be awesome next week when I win that $1 million. It's going to be big time, life changing for me and my family.
I suppose it helps when you've got a heavy schedule that you're finishing some of these fights, so you're saving yourself a few minutes here and there of cage time. You kicked off your career way back when, I think it was like 12, something along those lines, and you had like a spate of rear naked choke finishes back then. And you've won fights in a variety of methods in between, but you've kind of brought back the rear naked choke with a bit of a bang this year. You've managed to pick up a couple along the way. It's kind of come full circle a little bit. I suppose that's is that something that's kind of happened by design? Have you been maybe has that been something to do with game planning, or is that just something that's happened in those fights?
It just happened in those fights. I'm a third-degree black belt. I feel so confident in my ground game, my jiu-jitsu. So I feel like once I get to somebody's back, they're in my world, and I can kind of take my time and look for that choke. But I got a lot of submissions in my book and in my arsenal. So I feel like, I can submit these guys with a lot of so many different submissions that I have in my arsenal. But the rear naked choke is definitely one of my favorite ones, and I am good at taking the back and holding onto the back. So, don't be surprised if I get another one against Gadzhi.
Yeah, and I mean, you've kind of dabbled a hell of a lot really in competitive submission grappling at very high levels too. You've been in there with Craig Jones and Richie Martinez. I mean, I'm a jiu-jitsu guy, so I've seen some of these matchups, and it's that's also another string to your bow in that you can go and test yourself not only in another discipline but at like a very very high level of that discipline. That's pretty impressive. Is that something you kind of see yourself doing a little bit more of going forward? I mean, obviously you have a busy year right now, but once this is out of the way, would you like to would you like to maybe test the waters at that level again?
Yeah, 100%. I've had some offers for some amazing grappling tournaments that pay really good money, but I had to I had to say no because I'm obviously in this tournament. But you know, um, I want to go against the best guys, whether it's in jiu-jitsu or in MMA. And like I said, I'm a third degree black belt. My ground game feels really, really good. I'm very confident in my ground game, and I'm always down to compete just in jiu-jitsu matches against some of the best guys, and I've had some really cool fun offers competing against some really good guys in jiu-jitsu. And so maybe after this tournament I'll have a couple good grappling matches or whatever that pay pretty good. So we'll see, but I just like to stay busy. I want to compete against the best guys, whether it's jiu-jitsu or MMA. So um yeah, but and when it comes to Godzi, I know he's a tough guy. He's good on his feet. He's good on the ground. He's got good sambo and wrestling. But I feel like we're different when it comes to the ground game. I feel like I'm looking for the finish. I'm looking to pass and advance my positions all the time. I feel like he's more of a take you down and control you and hold you down and win the rounds like that. And so I feel like I'm definitely more dangerous and on the ground for sure, whether it's on my back or if I'm on top. So wherever this fight goes, I'm happy. I've made up my kickboxing, my boxing, my head movement, my timing, my distance. So I'm ready, man. I feel wherever this fight goes, I'm gonna become victorious for sure.
Lovely. Also in your weight class, I mean, there was a pretty impressive matchup announced today. A former opponent of yours, Mr. Nurmagomedov, and a countryman of mine, a friend of mine, Paul Hughes. That's a pretty spicy matchup, isn't it? I mean, obviously you've been in there with Usman, and you know what he brings to the table. And Paul Hughes has had a very sort of a meteoric rise to prominence within the Bellator PFL sort of or under that umbrella over the last couple of months. What do you think of the matchup, or have you seen much of Paul Hughes in action?
I've only seen him fight AJ, but he did an awesome job against AJ. He did really, really good, So I think it's gonna be a good fight. I'm still leaning toward Usman, but Paul seems like a really nice guy and a hard worker. So if he wins, congrats to him. And I would like to maybe fight the winner of that once I win my belt, and then maybe we can have like a champion, fight PFL versus Bellator. I think that'd be kind of cool. But yeah, that's gonna be a good fight, man. And congrats to Paul. This is his second in Bellator, and he's fighting for the world title already. So hats off to him, man. He's doing good things in there.
Yeah, it's an absolutely massive opportunity. You mentioned there about possibly fighting one of those guys. As far as I know, Paul is scheduled to fight in the $1 million tournament, which comes back around as of April 2025. Have you looked that far ahead in what your plans are once this one is out of the way? And do you know, like, is that something you would be interested in going through all over again, or have you thought about any kind of different avenue to go into next year?
Yeah, man, I want to fight in the next season. Since I've already fought in this one, I feel like I have a little more experience. And I know what to expect, and just with fighting back to back, over and over. So I feel like I would love to. I'd be honored and grateful to fight the next PFL season again in April. I'll be ready, and hopefully I'll get that call.
Awesome. Well, listen, want to wish you the best of luck in your fight next week. Hopefully, you get the job done. Would be awesome to see you do it, and I hope to speak to you again soon, brother.
Thank you, man. Let's talk after I win this world title, this $1 million, man. Let's do it.
Yes, let's do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.